All right, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning. This is Khairul from Ice Chat. Thank you for staying tuned. I'm currently live with a special person, Dr. Norazmi. Give Dr. Azmi a big hand, please. Dr. Azmi, thank you so much for coming over to our show, Ice Chat. How are you today, Dr. Norazmi?
Alhamdulillah, Waalaikumsalam. Alhamdulillah, doing good. It's great to able to spend more time at home now with the family.
All right.
Thank you to don't say thank you to COVID, but thank you to MCO.
Yeah.
Enable us to see more of the family members and do things that we could never have done. When people are busy, working and schooling. So it's a little bit of blessing in disguise to certain extent,
Right.
and enable us to do things that we could not have done before. So yeah, alhamdulillah, and hopefully you are doing well as well, and everybody listening to the live, FB live. Hopefully you all stay safe. Stay at home. And
Right.
and healthy. Yeah.
So, where are you having your MCO now?
I'm in Penang, our house in Penang, in Bayan Lepas. So we've been, staying here since the 18th of March. So
Oh,
it has been, yeah,
a
good
month.
break
Yeah.
from work. Yeah.
Right. Well, so how is it like in Bayan Lepas, MCO?
Um, the empty. But of course, you see people, hanging around, buying stuff at the shops.
Yeah.
So the
Durian,
the
durian ada
the, the
durian,
most
durian.
traffic jam will be at the drive-through. Yeah.
Ada durian lagi tak?
Durian, not yet, not yet,
Okay.
not yet. I don't know. I think they'll be coming up soon in May. May or
Hmm.
May June.
Yeah.
If you come back to Penang, then we'll treat you some durian. After the MCO. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Let's hope
So
the MCO
yeah.
is over then. At the time.
That's
All
true.
right.
That's
All
true.
right.
Very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me. So we are here to have a sharing session. The topic is the making of crowd innovation, yeah, in COVID 19.
Sure.
Like you say earlier
Sure.
on, the COVID 19 could be quote unquote a blessing in disguise. Uh,
Yep.
just before we jump into the topic, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and the audience? What is your background and how did you arrive here?
Okay. Myself, I'm basically I'm from Perak. Basically, my hometown, where I was born in Perak, and I end up in Penang. Due to jobs and whatnot. But my background, I study chemical engineering, and I think what Carol mentioned, that I'm a electrical engineer by profession. So by training, I'm a chemical engineer actually. But interestingly, I've been working in the electronic industry for all my career. Even started out, involving with the electric company like Texas Instrument when I was back in the US,
Mhm.
in the early 90s. Was doing some postgraduate work there, working with Texas Instrument. And all my career has been in the electronic industry or supporting the electronic industry.
Mm,
Therefore, the reason why I'm in Penang, I suppose. And and I've been working on the research in the industry ever since I graduated.
mhm.
So I've been working for Motorola, working for a chemical company, been working for design companies, and my last outfit before I joined Crest, I was with Motorola two-way radio in Penang.
Yeah.
My last job in a multinational company,
Mhm.
and now I'm with Crest for about 8 years now. It's going to be 8 years this September. Basically, driving a collaborative, research and collaboration between industry, academia, big companies and small companies, and that's basically why I'm still here in Penang, I suppose, because of the love of the electronic industry. That's the whole thing.
Okay. Right. I mean, that's interesting, Dr. Azmi. Your background is in engineering as a proper engineer, and then you're
Yeah,
electrical and electronic industry at the same time, right?
yeah,
And I when I go through your background, you also involved in some design work while you were in Motorola. Can you share with us a bit more about that one?
Yeah. So interestingly, when I was before I joined Motorola, I was working in the chemical company.
Mhm.
In fact, my journey started with Motorola Semiconductor when I first started my job upon graduation from my postgraduate work, because I'm a materials engineer. So they were looking for somebody to look at materials issues related to production and supply. So I started my career with the Motorola Semiconductor in Seremban. Um, and then I decided, because I'm a chemical engineer by training, so by nature I want to do some designing my own molecules and manufacture them for the industry needs. So I jumped to opportunity that was given by a company that are setting up in Malaysia in Seremban back then. It's a Belgium company, but making photoresist materials, making some solder masks and material that are used in making the printed circuit board and color filters, right, for your display panels and whatnot. So I jumped into that opportunity. I worked with them for about 7, 8 years. But then, towards the later part of the year working chemical company, I realized that, with my director, that the money is not in the chemical. The chemical is sold in kilos, in tons.
Mhm.
So the money is not there.
Right.
But the fun part is, how do you take that knowledge and technology to build a new product downstream, which is the end product, like the electronic product, and where you can see a lot more innovation happening at the downstream. So then I decided that for my next job, I want to get into the design.
Mhm.
So I, embarking into this one outfit in Sabujaya,
Mhm.
Malaysian, research, partnership with a US company
Mhm.
for a short period. That's how my journey started to involve the design work.
Mhm.
So when things did not go well with this outfit in Sabujaya,
Right.
Motorola was looking for somebody to head the design team,
Mhm.
initially to head the advanced mechanical team and whatnot. So I started as the head of the advanced mechanical design in Motorola Penang.
Mhm.
Eventually, they make me as the overall head of engineering for mechanical design in Motorola for my last 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, so interestingly, when I get into the design work, I think there's a lot of interesting learning about how do you have to bring people from different background, because when you make a two-way radio, for example, you want to make any communication product, you have the element of the electronics and also the software.
Yeah.
But on the mechanical side, on the physical side, there is the display, there is the microphone, there is the all these rubber materials, all the plastic material, PCB,
Mhm.
and you have to bring the different walks of discipline to build a product.
Right.
And from that point of view, I start to realize that you need to bring people from different background together to get the best a solution to market,
Yeah.
the best solution that will address the issue at hand, right?
Yeah.
So my journey of collaborative design or collaborative work starts when I was in Motorola. In
Mhm.
fact, I embarked into a journey where shouting out for problems, to get people to propose what problems you have, and then then get people to solve those problems.
Yeah.
So I started my journey on what we call the problem broadcasting
Yeah.
when I was back in Motorola,
Yeah.
and and kind of pin to this concept where the world is your design center, right?
Mhm.
You're no longer should be governed by your four walls, and basically you're looking in terms of how do you collaborate with people outside your four walls, and just working with a could be even your competitor,
Mhm.
in some areas,
Yeah.
and working with people that you don't know, whether it's going to help you or not. So it's about open up your doors for collaboration. So this is where I think at the same time there's a notion of open innovation
Yeah.
and crowd based innovation comes about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good story. So now I want to. I'm beginning to realize that your involvement in the cloud innovation, open innovation, collaborative innovation space in design actually bring you to where you are today. The topic that we wanted to discuss here, which is the making of cloud innovation, right? But the thing is,
Yeah.
I in COVID-19, you could see maybe I could just go through a little bit of material here. Just hold on a sec, yeah. Something I gathered
Yeah.
from your Facebook. I hope you don't mind me doing a little bit of peeping on your Facebook.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me just show this to the benefits of the audience. Yeah. right? So I have this on my screen, which is let me show a keynote roundup that I prepare. Let's take a look. Yeah. So on my screen right now, it shows what you've been doing the last 1 month. You have this thing with your neighbor, um,
Yeah.
on building some
Yep.
face shield, I
Yep.
think. And
Yep.
then you
Yep.
have
That's my
this,
neighbor fight way. Yeah.
yeah, and then I have this prime group, right? The
Yep.
re-imagineering group against COVID, where you
Correct.
build face shield. There's some face mask, do some delivery with your team, and then you talk about, you post up some design question about PPE face shield for army, bankers, and policemen. And then you have this campaign. I found it from Crash Place, where you are attached to, and the Great Lab Academy attached to. Rakyat Tolong Rakyat, PPE from frontliners, right?
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
so can you tell us a little bit more about this? How does this come about in the such a short time span, supposed to be sitting home, but how did you get involved into all this? Can you share with us a little bit?
Yeah, I guess being engineers, or used to be an engineer, I'm no longer an engineer now. I don't do much engineering work,
Mm,
or being involved with the research, community for quite some time. Um, I think you cannot just sit tight at home and in
mm,
the nice sofa or whatever, or in the kitchen having your lunch without having your brain thinking about something. What else can I do in this period of MCO, right?
right.
Uh, I don't think you can say there's a business as usual, and it's you still can get the work done. But I think because of the nature of the work, most of the time that we also have to go and meet people and traveling. So those time has been cut down, and there's actually more time for us to think about
Mm,
what else can we do. And I think I stumbled into a group, there's a colleague in the industry called Amanda, started out with, hey, we're doing this something on DIY, face shield and whatnot, and then got to see the people like Liza Sharif and whatnot doing something similar. So I kind of try to follow what they are be working on, and then I don't exactly know how we stumble into this and form into a group. They said, let's create this
mm.
WhatsApp group. I think
But
Amanda started that
hold
and
on,
invite me,
Dr. Azmi, hold on.
and
Do you know these people or not beforehand? I mean, get into this.
Amanda, I know,
Mm,
from work, because they are one of the quite a reputable supplier
yeah,
in terms of design, software and also design 3D printing equipment.
right.
But Lisa, I don't know. I don't know
Mm,
her before.
yeah,
Never met even in the Facebook. So
right.
then we get to see about what these people are working on. Then they say, let's get ourselves all into this WhatsApp group,
Yeah, yeah,
and then let's chat in terms of what are needed by the frontliners, and what else. I think there was kind of in the second week, maybe towards the second week of the MCO, they said,
mm,
hey, I think maybe we should do something,
yeah, yeah,
and then we stumbled into a discussion that maybe we can start producing, as simple as
mm,
a DIY face shield, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because that's easy to make, because they're also 3D printed, and there's also talking about molded version of this face
Yeah.
shield. But
So,
at that
so,
time, there was only two versions. I think
so,
DIY version and also the yeah,
so,
that's how we got started.
so in
Yeah.
terms of percentage, how many of people that in this group that you know and you don't know personally?
Probably, I would say less than half, less than 25% people that I know,
Right.
because being who we are, we trying to bring also our network,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so what it does is just expand it. Your all of a sudden expanding your network. So let's say I bring 20 people with me that I know from my research community, right?
Right.
And the other 10 bring another 20. Then you all of a sudden you amplify yourself by uh, you know uh, 200, right?
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of this network. And then not all are in the same Facebook, because you cannot get more than 250, or I think that you're limited by number of people in the WhatsApp group, right? So then you have to create another parallel group somewhere else. Like for example, my colleague in JB, Azrina, she connected to the group in JB, JDT, 3D printing group. So they have another group there, and then we have another group working on different areas, and there goes, right. So
Yeah.
you get connected very quickly because everybody's on on the social media, right.
Right.
Um,
So I want you
yeah,
to comment a little bit. Yeah, based on your initial experience, right, with multinational giants doing
yeah.
innovation, collaborative, and now where you are right now, you are in this prime group on this term we call crowd innovation, achieving things. Can you compare the situation and the impact that he has created from your personal view and from your personal experience?
Yeah, I think working with a big multinational, they are very structured. They
Hmm.
have a very defined process to go through in terms of defining ideas that need to be developed into a product that serve the customers or serve the market.
Hmm.
So they have a very a structured design ideation session. They bring into decision making in terms of which idea we should test, and then how do you validating those so that it has a very systematic process. If you're familiar with the stage gate process, these are typical
Yeah.
process that are used by big multinational companies,
Mm.
and they do have this parallel tasking, parallel development happening in the different so-called discipline, mechanical, electrical, software, and some of the technology areas being done in parallel. So I think in terms of all this parallel tasking, you see the similarity here where people are doing things on their own, a small, a group and whatnot. But how do you connect them, right?
Yeah.
And decision making also much, I guess, structured and done in a very formal setting in the design review process of multinationals. But if you compare to the situation we are in right now, because I think um, we are driven by solving problem that need immediate solutions. You probably use the word, I need the solution yesterday. So that means that you have no time to lapse, to wait to have the solution. So you need to quickly find what is the solution that can best solve the problem at the fastest time, right? So
Hmm.
that's basically what we are dealing with here,
Right.
and because the problem is already there, and you just have to quickly come up with a solution, and you cannot stop, right.
Yeah.
um, and the beauty of this collaborative model that I see, that's kind of a surface out from the situation of COVID-19 and MCO, is getting people to one utilizing the digital technology to be connected and always informed, and
Mm.
you have to use this network of people to test your idea, to ask
Mm.
questions, and you can quickly get answers in terms of, hey, I'm looking for new materials for sanitization.
Mm.
I'm looking for a new design for to make a better face shield for the police or for the bankers. Uh, as quickly you put the question up, somebody will say, hey, this is something else is happening elsewhere,
Mhm.
or I have an idea, and they also keep sharing what they have done, or what their friends have done, right.
Yeah.
So quickly you get answers. So you don't have to wait for 24 hours, or you don't have to wait for a week to get an answer. And in the essay, who has the supply for this? So all this information will come up, very quickly, and to answer all these questions. And I think,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do your own search even, if you don't have the time to do so. Just ask the question in your, LinkedIn, ask the question in your, even in Twitter, you can ask a question and post, and then you have people, and just choose the right hashtag,
Mm.
and people will, tend to answer you, because the whole world is basically,
Yeah.
fighting against COVID. It's like the war of the world kind of thing, right? If you
Yeah.
watch the movie, where
Mm.
we have the what's his name, the actor, that tried to fight against
Is it Brad
the
Pitt?
alien, right? Uh, yeah, not Brad Pitt's, the one that does the Mission Impossible. I forgot his name now.
Oh,
Yeah, never mind.
okay.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, eh?
So yeah, Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise. You're right, Tom Cruise.
Right.
So I think these are the situation where the whole world is fighting against COVID-19,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you don't have to limit yourself to who you know already, or who you want to ask question.
Right.
Sometimes you shy to ask to your friend because they say, oh, you don't know this. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
here you have no chance to say,
yes,
hey, I don't have to worry about people telling me that, and how come you don't know such a thing.
yeah,
So just you can ask all the stupid question that you
mm,
want or you can,
right,
and then you get all the answers, right?
right.
So I think this is the from the part of knowledge sharing is the best at
Hmm.
a so-called situation you are right now. And also you need to take this opportunity to learn as much as you can, right?
Right.
You're learning from chemistry, you learn from medical, you learn from engineering, you learn about safety, all in one shot, right?
Yeah.
Um, and when you come to a solution, they got many choice of solution. And I think I was listening to a video that was shared by one of the startup CEO Darwin Reza. It's about don't worry about whether it's your design or somebody else's design, or you like this guy better, you don't like this guy better.
Yeah.
Just take what works, right? Take
Right.
what works and then bring it to the market faster, or bring the market means the frontliners, which we try to help here.
Yeah.
So don't worried about people saying that, oh, you're copying somebody else's design. So there's no such thing right now, right?
Right. Because
People
is
are
it
not talking
because
about
of the
IP.
yeah, is it because of the time, because of the time, the urgency of the situation, and in this kind of situation, right? I mean, you mentioned a number of things where about information flow. You talk about not getting the materials. You talk about getting the information ready. I mean, who calls the shot in
Yep.
this kind of situation? Can you share with us a bit of what's happening inside the team?
Yeah, we kind of by I don't know by rule of thumb, maybe the people that are most passionate about it and think that they can contribute to the decision making process and ideas. And we're not saying that there's no hierarchy in this organization in the prime, because a bunch of volunteers coming together and put together our experience and our knowledge and whatnot towards the common goal. So
Yeah.
I guess by nature, selectively there's a few of us will come, to the surface to say, I think we should be considering this. So we're looking in terms of, who has the best information that can, help us to make decision,
Mm-hmm.
and then we use that, in a way, it's collectively, but of course, not everything can be done collectively with 100 people of volunteers, right?
Right.
I think we will have to take, in terms of rotating our decision making to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent. Something that probably you have no, if I have no, knowledge about to make the decision, we just have a call on, try to release a tool for molded, face shield. And I'm not the expert in molding. I'm not expert in the, in the tooling design, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to rely on people that has that knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
let them make the design. So I can give input from maybe what I've seen, what I know,
Mm-hmm.
but decision making, it has to be based on those knowledgeable. So no matter
Right.
what level they are. So this is again, you remove all the hierarchical or levels of management to say, because I'm the boss, I make decision. There's no such thing here. There's no boss, right?
Right.
You could be the boss, you could be the coolie, right?
Yeah.
So at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so so basically, I'm not saying we're in a state of anarchy, but I think
Right.
it's a bit of free spirit. People looking at what can we do together to solve this problem,
Right.
and those who are in the so-called the best knowledge, and
Right.
is the one that we have to listen to, right? So we have to basically respect the knowledge, respect the experience, and respect the wisdom. And
Right.
I think just like the other day, I think if you follow the PPE re-engineering
Yeah.
group Facebook, there are, I think before yesterday or before day after yesterday or before yesterday,
Yeah.
there are many people looking at building this sanitizing booth, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
The
because
the spray booth.
Biden
Yeah.
put up and then has the coverage on the one of the media,
Yeah.
and then finally somebody from the KKM with the so-called information from WHO say that this one not going to work, right? So these are the
Mhm.
kind of thing that you need to listen to. You have to listen to the expert. You listen to people that has the knowledge, right?
Right.
And not necessarily the authority,
Right.
and say stop this. Let's not make the booth for sanitizing people walking through, because it probably create more harm than
Right.
than good, right?
Right.
So again, the decision making is based on what who has the best knowledge, who has the best input
Right.
to basically for us to make the decisions, and
Right.
that's what we do, right?
Right.
I'm talking
Okay.
about a little bit
I
of
want to build on that a
yeah,
little bit more, Dr. Azmi. So,
sure,
what are the challenges faced
sure,
by the people? The challenges, what are they facing? I mean, you don't know each other so much. There's so much to do. There's thing about decision making. There's thing about funding, resources. I mean, in innovation, these are the things that you really want a lot of support, right? So, can you share with
yeah.
us what are the challenges faced by the people in this prime group or any other is of a similar nature? Share with us.
Well, I think I'm not going to get into the personal challenges, at homes and whatnot. I think everybody gone through that challenges,
Mm.
as we talk. I
Mhm.
think talking about the challenges on, innovating, the challenges about, bringing the ideas to the user. So I think the one of the probably the most important part is understanding what the customer needs or the user needs, which
Mm.
is the frontliners, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you need to basically be comfortable to go and talk about, and maybe meet, and if we cannot meet, is get the sources in terms of what are the needs are, what they have used. And if you don't do that well, then you're gonna go into going around the circle and not be able to deliver the solution the best. Just like when you do innovation, and I think you and a few others in the crowd probably have listened to many pitching, right?
Yeah.
Where people presenting their ideas, and then you ask the question, so what's out there? Then those who actually have not gone through that exercise of figure out what's already in the market, and then
Mhm.
they try to present something that is already in the market, then
Mm.
you basically don't add any value, right?
Mhm.
So these are the first thing that everybody has to learn, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing we ask question for everybody come up with the new idea. We say, okay, what about these people have done? What do you think? Before you can jump into new ideas.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's about access to materials, access to machines, right? Because a lot of under MCO suppliers are not able to deliver or produce, or not even to run their manufacturing equipment. So we have to be have the network to see who has what where.
Yeah.
So I think having this group of people with a common interest of helping the frontliners, and and extending their own network,
Mhm.
you typically able to solve that in if not within just a few hours, or at least it will not be more than 24 hours, I would say, that
Right.
you have a source, right?
Right.
Because the other day we just talking to another so-called NGO, try to support the same cause.
Yeah.
See how do we source for more people to build or kind of a sew and tailor so-called PPE gowns and whatnot. We are not in that area when we first started this prime in so-called re-engineering
Right.
group.
Right.
So just having the solution posted to our group and the network, we're able to now come up with the I guess supply and also manufacturers or fabricators of the gown, right? So this is
Right.
the challenges, and also the
Oh, I'm losing you.
so I need to cancel that.
Right.
Hello, can you still
Okay.
hear me?
Yes.
Am I still
Can.
there? Okay,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned
Um,
just now,
the-
Dr. Azmi, some of the challenges, right? So
yeah.
in innovation, these are what we call constraints, right?
Yeah.
And these constraints are one. They say constraint is good for creativity and innovation, but now this is a great constraint. So normally
Yeah.
in the good old days or business as usual previously, whenever we have constraint, we try to overcome by putting more resources, more money, more material, more people. But now we don't have all that. No, the disease is going up, the issues is getting bigger and bigger, but the resources
Yeah.
getting smaller, smaller and less. So
Yeah.
can you comment on that? No? And yet you still make great impact.
Yeah. Well, I kind of read through, and I'm a self-study person, so when I was in Motorola, because we try to see how we can come up with a better solution always. and always try to strive to be the best. When I was in Motorola, and driving the team in that way. So we look in terms of how do we come up with the better ideas, better solutions, and read through some of the articles from Harvard Business Review and Harvard Business Schools and MIT Sloan and whatnot. So I
Mm.
think there's a if you Google this title called Creativity Under the Gun. It's interestingly the philosophy is if you put a bit of pressure to your engineers, to your designers, with constraint like time constraint or limitation in terms of resources, you'll be surprised that you get much more innovative ideas or solution than giving them all the flexibility of time and also all the money that they can get to actually solve a particular problem, right? So
Right.
anytime you have a constraint, and I think you kind of alluding me towards the a book that is titled "Thinking within a Box," thinking in the box, where most people talking about thinking outside the box. So this
Yeah.
is a training that I went through last year called Design Thinking, Innovation Design Thinking.
Right.
So a bunch of so-called experts in the they call it I think the initial point where you have trees called ARRZ. ARIS
Yeah.
is basically looking in terms of how do you put constraint and get more ideas from applying constraints. So I think
Mm.
uh, exactly what COVID-19 and the MCO period are giving us constraints, right?
Mm-hmm.
Constraints that make people to be more innovative in terms of not just having product in the market, in terms of supply chain, right? In
Mm-hmm.
terms of resources. I think that if you read some articles that are from other part of the world, from the US and Europe and whatnot, this situation, because you have to be supplying a solution to the frontliners to where you are. So I think if I'm in Penang here, the
Yeah.
closest hospital would be the GH hospital in Georgetown, and then we have the Clinic Kesihatan just down the hill of my house here,
Mm-hmm.
Clinic Kesihatan, by Lepas,
Mm-hmm.
and those are your customers in a way, right? Which is the one that going to be using all these, innovation of your PPE,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to design, you have to manufacture it. The most important manufacture closer to where your customer is. So I think it comes to the concept where it can be designed anywhere, but it can be built anywhere. But built and fabricating has to be closer to where customers, because the
Mm.
logistic of delivery is going to be horrendous, right? Because if you have to deliver from Penang to JB, to supply the face shield, to supply the so-called your a PPE gown, it doesn't make sense. So you have to deliver, and
Mm.
well, not deliver first. Basically, you have to make the product, or you make the PPE. Let's use the use case of PPE here,
Mm.
the personal protective equipment like the gloves and the face mask and the face shield and the gowns,
Right.
closer to where your customer is, right?
Right.
So I think it's changing the whole supply chain. It's changing the whole manufacturing at one big manufacturing facility,
Mm-hmm.
and then you distribute to different places, right?
Right.
So and also because of limitation of distributing company or the
Mm-hmm.
logistic company, and not all logistic company can operate at this MCO. So
Right.
now we make use of our normal, we call runners, right? And I mean, you're familiar with the word runners, where you get somebody to do things for you, and you pay them a little bit of let's say 20,
Right.
50 ringgit or whatever, to deliver from point A to point B. So more door to
Yeah.
door delivery service. And this is creating a little bit more of opportunity for people that are willing to help, and also leveraging the ecosystem or leveraging the community. So it creates this constraint of COVID, the constraint of the challenge of COVID, and the constraint of MCO,
Right.
doing wonders to creativity, doing wonders to innovation, right? So I think the word that we use in the title called crowd innovation, exactly that's what it is, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
basically you use the crowd to source for ideas, you use the crowd to source for information, you use the crowd to basically build the solution for you, because not everything can be manufactured in the manufacturing facility.
Right.
Has to be assembled at homes, it has to be assembled at schools, are now being converted into manufacturing lines, right?
Right.
And this is basically crowd innovation. So I'm going to stick to that word,
Yeah.
and so not sure I can coin it and IP it, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's basically that's what it is, right? And sometimes I call it DIY innovation, because now you don't have many resources. And yesterday, a couple of days ago, we were talking about building this sanitizing and also a sterilization pod. So we were
Right.
thinking about what can we do, what can we use, and hack a solution. So I was walking around, around my house, and I have these old printers that we're going to throw away,
Right.
and that could be the box where we can put the sterilizing, the UVC, equipment, right?
Right.
So all this, builds a lot more in terms of creativity, and drive you
Right.
to say, I need this, in
Mm.
terms of the kind of a structure, but what do I have, around my house, right?
Right.
And I think that's basically what what the situation of COVID and 19, pandemic and MCO,
Yeah. Right. So,
you know,
okay, you mentioned a number of challenges. You remember a number of challenges.
solution, even
Yeah.
when we
You mentioned a number of challenges and the people, the resources. Yet there's a lot of impact being created when it comes to impact to the frontliners, the PPE, the face shield. Now you're doing the gowns and stuff like that. You guys do delivery,
yeah,
have a good
yeah,
ecosystem. There are runner, there are suppliers. Now, if I'm going to ask you a controversial question now, which I hope we don't have to go through this. If the MCO is prolonged, can this group sustain?
yeah. I think very much yes, because we are, coming together as as a spirit of solving the greatest problem that the humankind has, within our lifetime,
Right.
which is the pandemic of this COVID-19. And
Right.
I think because we all very very I guess motivated and very very passionate about helping the frontliners, because if you read the story of Korea, how they basically flatten the curve is, first is to protect the frontliners. If you
Hmm.
don't protect your frontliners, and it's basically the rest, so that's your first line of defense, right?
Yeah.
So people who are facing with the this more of them the frontline, because we are staying at home, we are
Yeah.
less exposed. But people who actually facing the patients and treating the patients, they are your first line of defense.
Yeah.
So if you don't support them with your ecosystem, with your financial, with your time, with your ideas and thinking, who's going to help them, right?
Right.
I think the government can only do so much, and I think the
Right.
government also, are probably limited in terms of knowing who's out there can help them.
Yeah.
So I think it shows also the strength of the people, right? The
Yeah.
people, helping the people, rakyat untuk rakyat, rakyat bantu rakyat. I think this is what we are doing, and I
Yeah.
think also there's a great spirit of people helping people as well, right? I think this is the spirit, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay, right?
Right.
Whether with us or without us, I think it will continue.
Yeah.
And Prime is only one of the few that's out there that doing our part of the whole equation. There are many other I guess group that are working on this,
Right.
and we also collaborating in with other group, and it's not about competing. So there's no longer competition, right? So because
Yeah.
when you're not competing, you're because your competition is COVID-19.
Yeah.
So everybody's competing or fighting. Our enemy is COVID-19. It's not about the other guys, right? It's
Yeah.
not about the other group, right? So there's no such thing, right? And even for me, I'm putting all that barrier down, right? To
Yeah.
be honest, without this, always because we are associated with one organization and whatnot. There's always things that, okay, my organization first. I
Yeah.
think with this kind of a COVID-19, that so-called priority is been putting way back. Maybe leave in the cupboard, right?
Yeah.
Store in put in the storeroom, and it could be something worthwhile will come out from this. And I think we have to pray and do our best to get rid of this pandemic. And I think I'm pretty sure there's something new will come out from all this
Mm.
COVID-19 MCO situation. There will
Yeah.
be a lot more collaboration. People will be more open to say, I have this, what do you think, right?
Mm.
Um, so I'm positive about this.
Right.
I think that's the only thing you can do right now and try to be more positive about the situation.
Right. So I believe many of the great companies as well, the founders started like this, with a few like-minded people together, do something together, have a
Yep.
common goal, and of
Yep.
course our common goal now is COVID-19 globally, right? So when you're
Yep.
doing all this, like Prime, it involves money, Dr. Norazmi. It involves
Yeah. Sure.
money, money, money. So people are losing
Yeah.
jobs, people are losing businesses. How do you guys find money to do this?
I think you just have to go out and ask. I need something. Can anybody help? So I think I think you have to be a non-shameful. Not ashamed to say, hey, I have this. I need from somebody, and I cannot only do so much. Can somebody else help? Right. So I think you need to be very very humble and not shy to say I need help. Right. I think that's the trick. I know it's easy said than done. Only few of us who actually have done that in our other jobs and whatnot before the situation came about.
Yeah.
So we are go out there, and I think I thank to my colleague, like Eliza, Amanda, and Azrina, and not more of those guys who are willing to open up their mouth to say, hey guys, I'm gonna build this. I'm short of 5K, I'm short of 10K, or I'm short of 15K. Can anybody help? So you'll be surprised, right? You'll be surprised that they're kind-hearted people, hearted people,
Mm.
and people basically have the same, because sometimes they probably want to help, they don't know how, and you just have to ask, right? And you're using the channel of either your network, WhatsApp channel,
Yeah.
or your Facebook channel, and ask for the help. So you'll be surprised the kind of people coming in, chipping, right?
Right.
But of course, we want to do it on purposeful, kind of request for support for funding. So we raise fund based on projects. We raise fund based on, hey, I want to do a 10K build for this week. So how do we pull this together, right? This guy has this much. This guy has this much. You pull the money together, you're able to make the 10K, right? So
Right.
that's the whole idea how we work. So basically, it's also crowdfunding at its best.
Yeah.
Of course, I hope the SSM will not come and chase after us
Right.
because we're doing the crowdfunding, pulling a contribution from each party.
Right.
I'm managing that also a little bit of innovation needed and some creativity needed. And how do you pay directly? How do you make sure that you don't handle this monetary, cash form?
Yeah.
And this is, I think, with the advancements of the you know online payment and whatnot, and and
Mm.
and, and we avoid managing cash ourselves, right?
Right.
So we say,
Right.
okay, you're gonna pay this much. Okay, can you pay the supplier directly? And then we get
Right.
all the transaction details and whatnot. So and companies are quite happy to say, okay, I'm gonna pay this, but it's gonna be three so-called payment coming for
Right.
that one invoice.
Right.
So I think it's a bit more creative in terms of how to also managing our suppliers and paying to the suppliers, right? So this is
Right.
what we do. Yeah.
Right. Okay, you mentioned a good word just now. No, other than crowd innovation, which is crowdfunding, right? Where you ask
Yep.
money from the crowd, macam derma
Yep.
donation macam tu, kan? Well,
Yep.
when who are the people that came forward to donate? Are these big companies, small companies, or individuals? Can you share with us a little bit about your experience in this crowdfunding during
Yeah.
COVID-19? Yeah.
So interestingly, anything that we do here, we don't really look at in terms of, are you big company, are you small companies, are you individual with a lot of cash, or you don't have cash.
Right.
Big multinationals, small company, even startups, right? Startup that just on the in the market for 3 to 5 years, and I don't think they have that much profit and revenue to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and even contributing because they see that, hey, this is a basically uh, basically the earth or the whole world is fighting against, which is COVID-19, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to be part of that, right? And they say,
Right.
hey, I want to chip in. Sure. So what can you do? So they probably have the knowledge about building some solution. So their contribution could be not necessarily in cash, but they're able to work with their resources to put together a solution and deliver to the frontliners, right?
Hmm.
So it doesn't have to be all in cash, but we do get people to say, "Hey, I will fund this portion of your of your needs in
Hmm.
cash," and you pay directly to the supplier. So all kind of organization, big and small, multinationals and local companies. We got individuals, we got societies, and I think it has no limit. So I think we don't draw the line anywhere in terms of whoever wants to be part of this and want to be part of our so-called initiative, as part of volunteering to help the frontliners. You're
Right.
welcome. So
Yeah. Um, you talk a lot about the challenges just now, right? Faced by
sure.
Prime Team, right? So who takes care of your own personal setbacks? The team members, each of them, who takes care of their own individual setback? Is there any maybe story that you could share with us that will inspire us a little bit in this kind of situation?
Okay, I think the personal setbacks. I think we have to be. I guess you have to talk to the person that's closest to you, either your family members, your wife, your husband, or your mom and whatnot, or your friends. In this case, what we do. So I think anything that we have setbacks, we will have to get one on one. So while there are a big group discussion, I think that when there are challenges and whatnot, we try to not to make these setbacks to be known to many people, and manage it at a one-to-one basis. Sometimes you cannot get the right produce of the product that you are getting people to do. So it's something that we have to learn to absorb, and it's not about telling people, hey, you did a wrong thing, and you're gonna get penalized and whatnot. It's all about learning and also about doing this together. So if things are not done in the proper way, so it's time for us to educate, right?
Yeah,
To tell people if it things that we should stop, we just say, okay, let's not do this, right?
right.
So I think it's about learning how to manage people, how to manage conflict, not to get into the sentiment of personal in terms of issues of you against me, or your way versus my way. And I think all ideas are correct, but we have to go back to the fundamental. What is it that we're trying to deliver? We're trying to deliver the solution for the frontliners,
Right.
and whatever setbacks that we have, we will have to discuss it not in the open forum.
Right.
We take it as a one-to-one basis. So I think, and then what I do personally, when things are done, take a little bit of your own time, and shut off a little bit
Yeah.
from the all this so-called chat and whatnot,
Yeah.
so that you can have your own quiet time, and kind of have a quick quiet personal time to yourself,
Right.
and and
We
and
have we have a
and
question
so that
here.
doesn't get to your head. Yeah,
Yeah, we have a question here.
yeah.
Thank you. I think you covered that. Let me just recap what you said. Now we talk about you need to respect people, doing this together, educate others, learning always. Don't get into conflicts. No, it's not about just my way. I mean, you tend to take things together. We have a question here from Azrina. Sounds familiar. This lady is
Hey,
yeah is corporation still looking for innovation during these trying times? I think it's a wonderful question. What's your thought, Dr. Azmi?
sorry, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat the
Right.
question?
Is corporation still looking for innovation during these trying times?
You mean this corporation, or is corporation?
Is corporation?
Yeah, I think innovation is something that we always going to strive for. I think when I say innovation, it's not about the technology innovation. The innovation could be in the delivery, the innovation in terms of, if you take, this is where I want to go back to things that are common to a lot of us. Apple, right?
Yeah.
Apple is about innovation, about technology. Apple is about innovation. How do you bring the idea to market so that more people doing things, and without actually realizing that they're doing it so well. And how do you ensure that the solution to the frontliners are delivered without them realizing it, in terms of where it's been made and how it's been made, and it's basically for them not have to worry about what do they have to do with all this device? What do they have to do with all this hey gear? So all they need to do is receive and use it, right? Without have to worry about all other things. So there's a lot of this innovation involved. The simple things about how do you make sure you design so that they can easily use and take it off, right? The
Yeah.
other day I was talking to somebody working in the forensic lab, said, hey, can you design something that take away the heaviness, because they have to work in a closed confinement room for about 4 hours,
Mm.
and can you make the job easier while they're protecting themselves from all this potential COVID virus from the disease, right?
Right.
So I think these are the innovation will continue. I think we have to strive for innovation, but if there's already a solution that works out there, don't try to outdo it, and use it. And that could be also a reuse could be also part of innovation. Sometimes people didn't realize that by reusing some of the knowledge, reusing some of the technology, some of the solutions out there, it's already taking away your time, to do things, right?
Right.
And you just have to go and copy exact, reproduce, copy exact, reproduce, unless what you try to copy is not meeting the requirement of your particular so-called frontliners and whatnot, because they have a maybe different requirement. Then that's where you put some technology innovation and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it will strive. I think if anybody keeping track about the number of innovation comes out, the number of interaction that people have during this period
Mm-hmm.
is probably more than before the MCO. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
But at least for me, it is already doing that, right?
Right.
The number of calls, number of discussion, number of iteration of ideas, the quickness of the idea iteration and testing and validating and whatnot is doing at the speed that you could never imagine, that you can see without the MCO. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is not only happening in Malaysia. I did some
Correct.
research. It's happening all around the world, right?
Sure.
The new
Exactly.
innovation, like some of the videos you shared about from MIT. I've seen some from Belgium. I've seen some from Europe.
Correct.
It's on the right traction, right? And on
Right.
the rise. So would this be something that will change the way corporations innovate post MCO? What do you think? I mean, coming out from background in multinational, and now you
Yeah.
are in this more of the social kind of situation. Uh, Post MCO, there's this thing called the new normal, or they call it the next normal. Yeah.
Sure.
Some of my clients already talking about having a scale down office. So a space is going to be scaled down. I think that will be something on top of their list. But in
Yep.
terms of, like you said just now, design anywhere, build anywhere.
Yep.
Well,
Correct.
do you see corporation going to adopt this, Dr. Azmi?
Okay, I think you're very right. Would this change the way that we do things? Assuming the whole MCO lifted and then we get out of this pandemic of COVID-19. I'm think very likely, because this is where people see that there may be a different way of doing things to get to the same so-called results, right? Same solution, and we are showing that, right? And we are living that as we are talking here, right? Um, for multinationals, depend, how open are they to this so-called open innovation and crowd-based, crowdsourcing innovation. It's all about their mindset. If they're open to this crowd-based innovation, design anywhere, build anywhere, because at the end of the day, you have to deliver whatever you produce to your customers. And your customers may not be here in Malaysia. Your customers could be in Europe. The customers could be in South America, right?
Mm.
Customer could be in India or in Africa. So why would you want to spend the time, shipping your produce here, if you could just send your maybe design files? Has to be, I guess, from the point of view of multinationals, whatnot, has to be protected and secured,
Mm.
and produced by the local supplier or local manufacturers. I think this is happening into some companies already, and whatnot, so that your cost of delivering or your all this transportation will be much reduced, um, because it's been produced at the locality closer to where your customers is, right? So
Right.
this is why the design anywhere, build anywhere concept probably will strive more. And then another one I like to maybe kind of introduce here or explain, what we call distributed manufacturing, right?
Right.
And distributed design and distributed manufacturing, where you are leveraging resources and many corporations that are embracing this open innovation, that some of the platform like Innocentive and Crest to a certain extent,
Mm-hmm.
and some other organization in Europe, they are embracing what we call this crowd source ideas, crowd-based innovation. And I think to some extent hackathons are going towards that, but not in the results that I think it should produce. Um, and it will change the way people think. I think if you put aside in terms of your personal preferences, you put aside in terms of very much IP, for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
IP point of view,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's gonna come, right?
Right.
And what it does is also it will create opportunity for the smaller guys, right?
Yeah.
The SMEs, the startups, because then they have the same opportunity of building solution for the customers in their locality, right? So they may not have the solution built, designed themselves. So it could be designed by somebody else in
Right.
another part of the world. Could be somebody from Colombia, for example. Azina will be, nodding her head. So we're talking for somebody from Colombia for some of the solution,
Mm-hmm.
um, and perhaps that can be a design for us here, right?
Right.
And they have done all the initial work. Then how do we take that closer to market? So it could be a research ideas done elsewhere in the Europe, in the US, or other part of the world. But in terms of translating that into a product that can be used by the end user, we can do that here because we can have the customer here, or the customers are beyond Malaysia, because Malaysian customers only about 30 something million,
Right.
and you have the rest of Southeast Asia, which is about 600 million.
Right.
So why not leveraging the manufacturing capabilities in those countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know there'll be some confidentiality and whatnot has to be taken care of, but those are the I guess the traits of the whole process, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's going to change the way how we do things, and definitely I want to be part of that, and I want to help drive that.
Right.
And I think this is an opportunity that a million, I call it 100 years kind of opportunity that you cannot miss, because last time that this kind of pandemic happened in a big scale that cost a lot of life, millions of lives, during the Spanish flu, right? That was in
Right.
1918, 1917, 1918.
Yeah.
Almost about 100 years after, we have this another global pandemic, which is the COVID-19, right?
Right.
So 100 years challenge, I'll call them, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
so
right.
it's
We have a
something
we have a
you
question
should
here.
use.
We have a
Yes,
question
right.
from Rafiq Sulaiman.
Sure,
His question is: let's say I have the design solution for the
sure.
problems, but
Yes,
I don't have the resource to manufacture my design. How
sure.
do I can overcome this problem?
As long as you're not limited to, you have to build yourself, and maybe open for a little bit of innovation or further enhancement, because sometimes you may think your design is perfect, but when it comes to making them or manufacturing them, you probably need some tweak in the design, because that's what we went through recently in our
Yeah.
design for the face shield.
Yeah.
So as long as you're open to that,
Yeah.
so through this network of Prime and
Mm.
other players we have built together, we can make that happen, Rafiq. So just pop out the question to us, openly on onto the Facebook, and say, I have something. What do you think? Can somebody build this? But
Yeah.
it has to be something that built to fit the requirement of the frontliners. So you have to close that gap first, right? So
Right.
that's very important. Yeah.
So can I say that this guy Rafiq Sulaiman can contact you maybe via Crest or Prime to have a more discussion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can find me on my Facebook, Norazmi alias, on
Right.
Facebook or LinkedIn.
Right.
I think that's not an issue. No
Right.
problem.
There you go, Rafiq. So you get the opportunity to get connected to Dr. Norazmi after this. Please reach out to him. Okay, I want to ask you. We are 2 minutes before 12. Our time running very fast. I've
Sure,
one question. Okay, you see in
sure.
innovation normally, and we talk about even in your session just now, we talk a lot about customers, right?
Yeah,
About meeting customers' expectation. So, but
yeah.
now in the situation like now, Dr. Azmi, do you see? I think we know customers can be very fickle minded. Customers can be, I want this, I want that. They delay decision. Previously in the business as usual, do you see that change in times like now, and it comes to decision making from the customer side? Your view?
Yeah, I think the customers are facing with the one single problem, right? How do you protect themselves from COVID-19?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that challenge is well defined.
Mm-hmm.
It's anybody that have not got that one yet, so they should get it now, right? It's
Right.
about how do you protect the frontliners from COVID-19, no matter where they are, right? Whether they are the so-called primary, care, facing with the first patient coming to the clinic or hospital, or they are in being treated, or they are in sorry to say, if they already deceased, so these are the kind of people, or the kind of items that the frontliners have to basically interface. Even if you read the article from the news, even the dead bodies carry the virus in their fluid, the body fluid. So you have to protect until the diseased body have been basically put you know in the ground,
The
right?
ground. Yeah.
And you have to protect them.
Yeah.
So it's all about protecting against COVID-19, right? So
Yeah.
if you have that clear in the mindset, how do you protect the frontliners and maybe even the public from COVID-19? Then it cannot go wrong, right? So you have to have very clear what is it you're trying to do. Is it because you design first, or you trying to solve the problem first, right?
Right.
So it's not about just about design, but technology. About does your ideas, does your design, does your innovation, or your creativity that you're trying to put in the product, or your solution, solve that problem? Does it protect the frontliners, right?
Right.
You
Right.
don't want to create more problem to the frontliners. That's the
Right.
whole idea.
Okay. All right. Dr. Azmi, it's already 12. I don't want to hold you any longer. Final
Very
words
good.
from you. Final words from you before we call it short.
So I think I'm gonna rephrase our prime minister. Duduk aja lah di rumah, diam-diam,
Yeah.
don't go anywhere, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, guys.
Azmi. Okay,
Thank you.
guys, big hand to Dr. Azmi. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Stay safe. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bye. All right, with that, thank you so much, everybody. That's Dr. Azmi alias, the founder, advocator of the Great Lab Academy from CRES. He's a vice president, senior vice president in CRES Academy, in the CRES in Penang. So for those who have some designs to work on, you can reach out to CRES. There's an email down there. Thank you, Azrina. Azrina is from CRES JB. Thank you so much for staying in Ice Chat. Come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Dr. Sumitra on something inside, healing and emotional pains. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day. Take care all the time. Bye bye.